Welcome back to the Tech Talk Show. Today, we're delving into application security and management as we continue Microsoft Entra series with Adnan Hendricks and myself. So again, my name is Kazim Adegwega from Nigeria, and I've got Adnan Hendricks with me. Hi, Adnan.
Hi, Kazim. Nice to be back.
So let's just get straight into it, Adnan. Today, let's start with the process of adding business applications or applications generally to Entra. How do you add your applications to Entra? Did you want to walk us through the process of doing this in Entra?
Sure. And for that, I'm going to be sharing my screen. So ideally, you want to enable certain applications. It could either be an application that's been created by one of your developers in-house or other kind of developer, or maybe it's one of the apps that's already available in the app gallery that you can just pick and use within your organization, right? So all your users, they are in Entra, and applications that need to be secured within your organizations needs to be added into Entra ID, right? So I'm just going to go to my applications. Under identity, you have enterprise applications. You can see that I have a number of applications already listed from my screen. And if I want to add an application, I just click to new application. And then I can either add or create my own application, and I have a number of options. So here you can see that it also says, well, you configure application proxy, so you can access it remotely if you have in-house on-premises application, right? But I'm just going to use the app gallery and search for an app. Which one should we use? Let's try, just as an example, Instagram, because some companies, they do have an Instagram account. They like to post the pictures and things, and maybe somebody that's responsible for that application within the organization will be using it, right? Let's found the application, and by clicking create, it's just going to add that into my or register and create that within my organization. And this instance of the app will be for exclusive use of one of my users. So that's the simple way of adding the application.
Next, let's talk about single sign-on on Entra. Can you explain how single sign-on works in Microsoft Entra? Is it any different from what we used to have before? And for those who aren't familiar with SSO on Entra, what is the significance of having SSO for users?
Well, we always talked about SSO or single sign-on, without going into the whole history lesson that I normally do in my identity classes. It's really just a way a user can sign into an application or get access to an application without having the need to sign in using his username and password every time. So you have different options. So depending on how you have a single sign-on configured, there's the SSO, which we call same password. So the username can save the password if we look at these application types. So going to the same application that I've added, I have single sign-on. And the options is either to use a protocol, in this case, XAML, where we can use a single sign-on through XAML tokens, or set up through XAML or OpenAI, OpenID, or OAuth, some other kind of protocol, or it can be password-based. Now, for an application such as Instagram, where the company would have a username and a password, all that I would have to do is select password-based and then save this option. And the first time the administrator accesses this application, you would enter in the username and the password for that account. So that once I've assigned this to whoever, they can just go and click on the app and it will save the password or use the saved password to enter.
Now, Adnan, let's touch on how to protect applications or our business applications with Entra. What are the key steps and strategies for ensuring the security of our applications on Entra?
Well, the first step would be to have who needs access to the application, right? So that's also a way of ensuring that only the right people get access to the application. So once again, going to my demo, we have users and groups. So I can add or assign this application to only specific people within my organization. Or maybe a group of people, right? Because we always have some sort of overlapping responsibilities in the certain environments. So yeah, I'm selecting just a normal user group, and then I will assign it to those users that's in that group, and I've just saved it. So now I know only those people in that group will see this application and will be able to access it. Now, obviously, we want to add some extra security to maybe we don't want to allow them to have access to these to this account or this app from, only specific devices, or maybe we only want to ensure that they use this on a work assigned location. So once again, here we can use the security and strength of conditional access. So within conditional access, I can create a specific policy for only this application. So this is where I can create a new policy and then just give it a name. Once again, I can include and exclude specific identities, okay? And then my target is already selected, which is that application. Now, using the conditions of the conditional access policy, I can specify, things like user risk, sign-in risk, specific device platforms, and especially I only want to configure that they use a company trusted location. So that's already set up. And then once I have my other controls selected, I can then say, well, I grant access. And once again, I can have extra controls specified. For example, maybe it's a high secure app. So as an extra step, I want to ensure that they have done the MFA, so require MFA or a specific authentication strength. And then even things like the sign-in frequency, depending on the severity and how secure I want access to this app to be. So I'm just going to leave it as default, and then I can enable that policy and create it as, yeah. So there, once I've got my policy, whenever somebody tries to access that policy, that will be evaluated and allowing them secure access.
Okay, awesome. So now that we've created our apps, we've tried our best to secure it now. I mean, people want to be sure that they can access their app, right? And they can do so securely, right? So how can users access and utilize the applications once they've added it to Entra?
Well, there's the My Apps portal.
Okay.
Once again, a user that has access to that application only needs to be signed into his myapps.microsoft.com. And as you can see, I have the Instagram app selected. And then you can just access the app. Now, obviously, I haven't entered in the username and the password because we selected password-based SSO. So the first time that I'm entering this, but I've already added LinkedIn, also with password-based SSO. So I'm already signing, and it will just redirect, and it's not asking me for my LinkedIn username and password and anything because that's already been placed for a single sign-on, and that's how I would access it through my apps portal.
So just before we wrap up, now, and then I want us to quickly talk about how we can evaluate and monitor who is using our applications within the Entra environment. Is this something that is possible within Entra?
Well, the nice thing is, going back to the demo again, within enterprise applications, you have the activity options. And for a specific application, such as, let me use the LinkedIn, you can see the activity section. So I can see any sign-in or my sign-in logs. So this is an app that I've added recently. So hopefully it's been evaluated. Otherwise, I'll just jump into another application that I've accessed recently. So we do have some activity. And then I'll be able to access sign-in logs, access audit logging, and also see the usage and insights.
Okay.
I can see my usage and insights. So sign-in activity, and this can be spread across 1 day, 7 days, 30 days of use that you can go and see and evaluate. And also see if there's any errors, right? So yeah, you can see for this one application, I have a error code with sign-in failure. So this is where probably like the first time that I used it, where I used an invalid username or password, right? So I can see sign-in logs, see every time a user sign and access. And once again, it's the same Entra sign-in information that you can get for normal sign-ins as well. And this is just specific or filtered for that application, right? So I can also see if conditional access, if I've had that been applied, what they have been using, the client app, and see a number of good information to show me if authentication requirements have been met, etc., etc. And also things like location, device information. So it was on a Windows computer using that specific browser and a number of different details. So MFA already successfully completed and the correct password, and then the number of different conditional access policies. I can see if they were enabled, applied, or only needed to be reported on. So a lot of information that you can go and get every time when you want to evaluate these sort of things, Kazim.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much, Adnan. So, and that brings us to the end of today's session. We hope that you found today's session informative. Remember to check the previous episode on the channel as well. So on that note, Adnan and I will see you another time.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.